Monstrum. From rock crystal to crystal. Crystal go to
Please
war
like and subscribe to this channel and
in
press the bell icon to get
1943.
new video updates.
Electronics has always relied on critical materials that have been difficult to acquire. Today, we think the gold, cobalt, neodymium, terbium, or dystrobium are required to make electric vehicles. But during the World War II, raw quartz crystals were required to manufacture the radio transmitters that were critical to the war effort. Quartz. I know quartzite as well. The stone with quartz. Um, Quartzite has been used in a lot of construction. And I looked it up. Quartz and quartzite is like, it's not necessarily a conductor, but it's good at like they're saying isolating and shit. Good to manufacture. It's good at like containing energy, at like storing energy. Quartzite and quartz and all that stuff. And I can see how quartzite being used to ice insulate or to not insulate but to control the energy. I can see it as being used like as wiring, if that makes sense. Like wiring makes me think of those one lights that like that glow, like that one clear plastic strand of light, but it glows all the way through. What was I gonna look up? What were the pyramids made of? Pyramids. My bad. I'm not the best at writing. Limestone, granite, basalt, mud bricks. Some parts of the pyramid. Limestone weighed between two. Using limestone, which was quarried nearby. Where are the quarries, though? I'm assuming they're covered in sand. Harder stones like pink granite were used, stored from quarries farther away, such as Aswan. But then they're saying, like, how were they able to move tons, 15-ton blocks, miles, probably hundreds of miles away? 25 and 80. They said nearby, but where are they nearby? Quarries. Do they exist? Oh, it's a lake now. Location. Quarries of the Nile. Did this work? How do I do that? Magnify image. Does that work? It does. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Okay, so all around the river, and I'm assuming it's like over there. Oh, Giza right here, the plateau, super fertile soil. But think about it, they're like carrying that granite over here. Look, the granite quarry. That's like hundreds of miles. Am I tripping? What the hell? Hell no, there ain't no way. Hell no. With wheels, the wheels are just gonna sink into the ground. But that's the granite right here. That's insane. But it's made of limestone. What's limestone really? What's it composed of? What's it made of? Limestone is a type of carbonate sedimentary rock, which is the main source of mineral material lime. Minerals calcite and argonite, which are different crystals forms of calcium carbonate. Limestone forms when these minerals, oh, limestone forms when these minerals precipitate, like settle on the bottom or something in a liquid form is called precipitate. So you mix something with a chemical and then it separates the agent, the solids from the liquid and shit, right? Putting all the solids towards the bottom out of water, dissolved calcium. This can take place through both biological and non-biological processes. So they could do it non-biologically. They could do it artificially through biological processes such as corals and shells in the sea. And more important to the last, limestone often contains fossils, which provide scientists with on action achievements and of the evolution of life. About 20 to 25% of sedimentary rock is carbonate rock, and most of this is limestone. The remaining carbonate rock is mostly dolomite, a closely related rock which contains a high percentage of mineral dolomite. It's a sedimentary carbonated rock that contains a high percentage of the mineral dolomite. It occurs widely, often associated with limestone evaporated soil. What is it though? Magnesium limestone is a poorly defined term used variously by containing significant dolomite. Any other limestone containing significant percentage of magnesium. Most marine environment, such a secondary dolomite forced by chemical alteration of limestone. Limestone to regions of Earth surface. I was thinking of magnesium. Doesn't it like help you calm you down? And I was thinking a lot of places were built with like those type of materials, right? Containing magnesium. So was it much healthier to live in like natural stone houses? Because of like the crystal. Of course, some of them are poisonous. They can be poisonous. They can have chemical reactions with different chemicals, poisonous gases, and all that stuff, right? But like for certain stones, I feel like some were probably healthy to live in. Build your houses out of these stones, calming effect, creating a calming atmosphere with the magnesium, right? Magnesium helps benefits. Involves hundreds of biocorrections to your body. May boost exercise performance. They might have been way strong. They were way stronger back then. Much more healthier, stronger immune systems that supports numerous bodily functions, including muscle and nerve function, blood pressure regulation, and bone health. Yeah, people are so unhealthy these days. I mean, hell, they went from creating natural stone houses, mud houses, houses made with natural minerals, to now we paint our houses with lead paint, line it with lead, all kinds of fucking wiring through it, electricity that's just unhealthy for us to be exposed to. Crazy. Improves mood and mental health. Enhances exercise performance, aids in blood sugar control, relieves migraines, supports heart health. Plus, in their diet, a lot of leafy vegetables, nuts and seeds, legumes, whole grains. Pretty popular in Egypt at the time. Argonite, calcite, stable polymorph of calcium carbonate is very common mineral, particularly as a component of limestone. Its hardness of 3 on Mohs scale. I remember learning that based on scratch hardness. Let's look up the benefits of these and everything. Is common mineral, blah 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 blah, calculate blah blah, blah blah blah, the hardness scale, all the polymer minerals, argonite. Got into that. Commonly used, common naturally occurring crystals. Biological and physical processes including, hold up, and valterite. German. Hmm. Calcite is derived from the term alabaster is used not just as an geology gypsum and used as fertilizer as the main constituent in many forms of plaster, drywall, and backboard and sidewalk chalk. Crystallizes as what? That's crazy. And soft rock used for carving plaster powder. So like a bonding agent, archaeologists, geologists, and the stone industry have different definitions for the alabaster. Oh, it sounds like plaster, right? Includes objects and artifacts made from two different minerals. Bonding agents. Hmm. Interesting. Argonite. Let's look up argonite. Current crystal forms. Marine and freshwater environment. The crystal lactate from all calcite resulting in different crystal shapes. Orthobomic crystal, blah blah blah. Don't really know too much, but repeat twining results. Ores and occurrences, physical properties. Argonite is unstable phase of calcium carbonate at any pressure below about 3,000. Nonetheless, frequently forms in near surface environments. The properties of this mineral, the different stability between argonite. I'm trying to look. Transfers ions may inhibit calcite formation in favor of argonite. Calcite. Oh, those? And those have like a lot of important minerals, right? Like healthy? No, some of them could be like dangerous, no? Valtrite. Uses in Quaria, argonite is considered essential for replication of reef conditions. Provides the material necessary for much sea life and needs. What? Argonite is considered essential for the replication of reef conditions. Could many of these reefs we have today be artificial? Could have been artificially created back in the day? Of course, water levels change, right? So certain minerals are exposed to water and all that stuff. But I'm just thinking, like, I mean, ancient times they were dealing with these type of minerals and all that stuff a lot more than we have. We went from we focused more on modern time. We focused more on like metals and shit, not necessarily minerals. That's why we're so unhealthy too now. Look at all the metals, and then and they're like most metal. There's a lot of radioactive metals, right? Unhealthy, dangerous metals. I mean, mercury's a metal that's like super unhealthy and bad for your health. Lead is another metal. Let me think. Probably forgetting right now, but those are like the two main metals I can think of. They're like, is uranium a metal? Yes, uranium is a metal. So I feel like metals are a lot more unhealthy to use than like natural minerals, rock, stone. Metals get rusty as well. You can get a lot of sicknesses from metals. It's crazy. They went from like having natural houses, homes, buildings to now like buildings that are just giant microwaves now. Limestone. Grains. Skeptical fragments of marine organisms such as coral or so it's organic as well. These organisms secrete structures made of argonite. Uh, Oh, so they're the reason for argonite. They produce argonite and calcite. That's kind of crazy. Animals producing minerals and shit. Kind of wild to think about that. Chemicals. I know a lot of bugs use like chemicals as like defense mechanisms to like spray it at like animals. Kind of crazy. The human body, I'm saying the human body is such a crazy machine. I mean, we produce chemicals, natural chemicals, and all that stuff. We have minerals and metals inside our bodies. We have copper and like iron and all that stuff. Iron, I mean, I don't think we have copper in our body. Produce them in an environment which is. Why doesn't the copper in our body not rust? I mean, the iron in our body, why doesn't it rust? I'm about to look that up now. Mud. Okay, interesting enough. What was that? Calcite? What was the other what was the other thing I wanted to look up? Dolomite? Magnesium. What was I gonna look up again? I wanted to see a bomb bomb. Hmm. Corals, tube worms, a typical mollusk, green algae, corals, and tube worms. I can see how farming these type of animals create coral reefs over time. So they're the carcasses, and then coral, of course, is microorganisms, right? And they attach themselves to these structures, argonite skeletons. And corals are more common in high energy environments. I'm gonna look up why iron doesn't rust in your body. Wait, does iron rust? I think it's steel that rusts, right? They do rust. Well, no shit, steel has iron in it. I'm an idiot. What doesn't uh, in my body rust? Bodies are made of like 80% water. The hell do they not rust? The iron in our body does not rust because it is bound within hemoglobin and exists in a specific oxidated state that prevents it from reacting with oxygen and moisture like metallic iron would. Hmm. So hemoglobin. I always hear about that hemoglobin. Like you don't have enough hemoglobin or hemoglobin's low or like hemoglobin like vitamins and all that stuff. So if you have low hemoglobin, does that mean you're at risk of having freaking rust in your body? Getting poisoned, I mean? Hemoglobin protein in red blood cells responsible for transporting oxygen. But it's saying it keeps it from being exposed to oxygen. Iron is the ferrous state which allows bind oxygen effectively. Binding is conditions for rusting. When iron reacts with oxygen and moisture, forming iron oxide, the rest of blah blah blah. Hmm. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, it's just amazing how it's just crazy. Like money, bro. Oh, quartzite. It's like a quartzite. My bad. I don't know how to spell that shit. quartzite is a non-fluid metamorphic rock that is purely pure quartz sandstone. Sandstone is converted into quartzite through heating and pressure, usually related to. So sandstone is a classic sedimentary rock of sand-sized silicate grains cemented together by another mineral. Sandstones comprise of 20 to 25 sedimentary rocks. So under extreme pressure, it gets replaced with quartz. The quartz starts replacing a lot of the sandstone minerals, creating quartzite. Is a metastone. Pure quartzite is usually white to gray. The quartz often occur. Now we're going to learn a lot more about quartz right now, so let me get back to it. Crystals go to war. And we look at today, like what they're saying. Today we think of gold, cobalt, nitium, terbium. There's other ones too. I just saw something where someone was explaining the floods that happened in Texas, right? And they were saying the area where those floods occurred. Now, there's this one mineral. I forgot what they called it. They said it only goes up to the surface when in contact with water and everything. It rises to the surface, making it easier to mine and to collect. And they were saying that in Texas, they found a huge deposit of that mineral in the areas that got flooded. And now they were saying, of course, like the conspiracy that, like, oh, they purposely flooded Texas to make it easier to mine those minerals. I think Hawaii, they found a bunch of those kind of minerals, those crystals too and everything. What are they called? Minerals? Materials, or whatever. Minerals, material. They found a lot of those in Hawaii as well, which got hit. No, I'm tripping. Where else? It was Texas. Oh, was it South and North Dakota, I think? Was it the Dakotas or was it the Carolinas? One of those. They found a bunch of that as well over there, and then that place got hit with floods, remember? North Carolina floods. Floods. Now you might be saying, well, how do they create these? There's a program called HARP, Manipulation of the Weather, of the Clouds, using energy, laser technology. They pretty much shoot lasers at the atmosphere, the ozone layer. I forgot which layer exactly. They pretty much burn holes in the sky, or you get into chemtrails as well, putting chemicals in the air, into the clouds, creating artificial rain clouds. I mean, Malaysia came out admitting that they do that. They intentionally do that because they were in droughts and everything, right? So they intentionally alter the weather. Was it Malaysia? Malaysia using chemtrails. Trails for rain. Is using cloud seeding to beat the haze. It's called cloud seeding or chemtrails. And then we look at the HARP. It's called HARP. High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. It's pretty much like a laser at that point. Super high frequency. It's in Alaska. Fairbanks program, which researches the ionosphere, the highest ionosphere parts of the atmosphere. Let's look into it a little bit. Of course, probably it's Wikipedia, so they might not Tell us everything. Uh, Shit. Alright, is a spheric instrument a high-powered radio frequency transmitter? Electric field. Oh, those little things. I remember seeing a bunch of those when I was a kid. Transmitter facility upper high frequency. They're pretty much fucking with the weather. And what they do is they point this at a certain point in the sky and they shoot it there and they're able to affect an area, create hurricanes, create um, clouds, storms, create heat waves, shit like that. 25 billion, 25, 250 million in tax funded construction and operating costs in 2008 for this program for HARP. It was announced that HARP program would be permanently shut down later in the year. After discussions between the parties, ownership of the facility was transferred to the University of Alaska Fairbanks in August 2015. HARP is a target of conspiracy shit because who claim that it's capable of weather manipulation and mind control. I never really thought of the mind control, but weather manipulation, yeah. You fuck with the sky, you're gonna fuck with the weather. It says in the Bible. I'm reading Book of Enoch. I need to go back and read it more. Book of Enoch. It says like some of the abominations God didn't like was human beings being taught by the fallen angels how to manipulate weather, artificially manipulate things. The stones, not the stone, the metals, creating weapons, armor, jewelry, vanity. You go on and on and on. But like one of the things was manipulation of like weather and stuff. It's pretty much saying respect Mother Earth, like respect Earth. The natural things that I created, respect it. Now we look at today's society, everything is unnatural, everything is artificially created. Hell, even people are becoming artificially created, altered. It's insane. Went from stone houses, buildings, to metal buildings, giant microwaves. Shit's insane. This is the shit God did not like. This is the shit he saw that he knew was going to be the end of us. Like, we're just going to destroy ourselves. Many of us might be like, be like, oh, he's taking away all the fun. He's making it boring for us. Nah, he's doing us a favor. He's looking out for us because we are our own worst enemies. You know, he gave us free will, bro. Like he gave us a choice to choose good and bad. We tend to choose the bad. Of course, we don't. Let's not get into that right now. Too into that. You know, of course, there's different people at play in this. Let's get back into this. Ooh. But this is nothing new. This is history. I love history. I love learning about history. History just repeats itself. It always will repeat itself. It's ridiculous. A lot of the shit people like are saying today was going on back then as well. Race, religion, politics, conflicts, all those type of things happening today as well. Happened back in the day already. The drug wars. You get the opium wars and shit. China, Europe, the UK, Britain. You got the French too doing that shit. India. They did it to India as well. They brought opium over to India. Was it India? Yeah, they were using it as a weapon, bro. You get the people high, you get the people stupid. Easier to conquer, easier to take over. Look at our country right now. Opioid epidemic, heroin epidemic, crack epidemic, cocaine epidemic, fentanyl epidemic. And then it's much easier to invade. Much easier to have people come over. and just replace all of us because we're no good. We're just high all the time. We're just drunk high all the time. I can see why they wanted to ban alcohol now because it's like, oh, this is gonna be the downfall of our nation. Look at us now, drinking, getting drunk, watching sports, people fighting over fucking sports teams, stupid shit like that. It's like they saw this like it was all for the betterment of the country, of the people's well-being. But of course, money gets involved, greed gets involved. They get jealous that Al Capone, all these other gangsters making billions off of alcohol. And them realizing, oh, you know what? We should just start taxing it more. We should just start doing this and that, regulating it more so it's easier for us to get more of the money. Now that I think about it, was alcohol taxes? I'm thinking of taxes right now. I'm just thinking like when they allowed it to be back, I wonder how crazy the taxes were on alcohol. Did they even have taxes like that back in the day? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. What's the best way to ask this question? Before prohibition, prohibition. Shock, how do you spell prohibition? Before prohibition, was there taxes? Taxes. Yes, before prohibition. No shit, but I'm saying like I want to see the state like how were they like back then? The taxes before prohibition. The federal government was heavily reliant on taxes of alcohol, which accounted to 30 to 40% of its income on alcoholic beverage began in 1791. So this is the taxes of alcohol began in 1791 to help meet the cost of the Revolutionary War. Oh shit! And looky, during the World Wars, end of prohibition. We need money right now. We need you guys to be drunk and getting drinking. End of prohibition. What year was it? 33, bro. World War II. When did we get into World War II? 33, 41. Now I can see how we stopped prohibition early on and be like, oh, let's start stacking up. Let's get ready for this war. That's insane. Cost of a revolutionary war. And looky, the 16th Amendment allowed Congress to levy a federal income tax, which paved the way for prohibition in the 18th Amendment. Wait. Okay. I'm not the most savvy when it comes to this type of stuff, but the 16th Amendment of 1913 allowed Congress to levy a federal income tax. What does levy mean? Lift? Impose a tax or fine. A federal income tax. And then there's state taxes too, right? So I'm assuming the state taxes the alcohol, and then the federal level, it's like, oh, are you going to put more taxes onto that? Which paved the way for prohibition and the 18th Amendment. Placed the lost revenue from alcohol. Wait. Oh, no, this isn't for alcohol, just in general, a, federal income tax. the lost revenue from alcohol taxes. And prohibition cost the federal government 11 billion in lost tax revenue. Fuck. Wait, this is a little confusing. Congress levy a federal tax income. When did federal tax income come into play? Was it that? 1861? Okay, wait. Levy. However, it became a permanent fixture in American life when Congress ratified the 16th Amendment. Prohibition, was it? Bro, all this shit's so confusing. There's so much to go down the rabbit hole. When Congress ratified the 16th Amendment. Without apportioning it among the states. It's just crazy, bro. Cost the federal government 11 billion in lost tax revenue. Shit. The income tax replaced the lost revenue from alcohol taxes. Oh, so they put more taxes. So when alcohol became banned, they're like, "Oh, how are we gonna make up for all these lost tax? Let's just tax the people even more. Federal income tax." And then they just realized, "Oh, we could just make a lot more money selling poison to people." That's exactly what they noticed. Like, we could just make a lot more money selling poison to people. Look at the pharmaceutical companies now. They can make a lot more money selling poison to people rather than actual cures, healthy diets, and all that other shit. Crazy. Taxes are wild, bro. Harp. Taxes are wild. Oh, weed's not federal legalized, huh? Never mind. I was about to say something. 40 of the 50 states for medical uses and 24 states recreational uses. Um, the legalization of marijuana. I want to see if it correlates to any wars, any extra money that the government needed. Because that's what it sounds like. When the government needs extra money, when they need money, is when they start to legalize stuff and shit. Stuff that people they know that the majority of people like to consume, but like, you know, 20th century, 1973, starting with Oregon in 1937. So it was legal in the U.S. Illegalized. 1937. 1937. 33 was the end of the prohibition. So they have that. Cannabis was illegalized in the United States primarily with the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937, which effectively banned it at a federal level. However, state level prohibition began earlier, with various states outlawing cannabis between 1911 and 31. Notably, Utah made cannabis illegal in 1914, and Oregon was among the first states to implement prohibition measures. So the end of prohibition for alcohol, 33. Then they make it illegal federally on a level at 37 for marijuana. I'm assuming at that point everyone just went back to drinking. And of course they were making money off of arresting people and shit, right? Law officials. So there's that, but they said they lost more money making it illegal alcohol. Maybe seizing like criminals too, seizing the money. That's the thing too. I feel like the government when they seize money like that, they keep it and like put it back into regulation and shit. Cycle into the country economy. When they seize all that fucking drug money, because that's money's money, you know. Like they're not gonna burn drug money or just throw it away. It's like nah, we're gonna probably gonna clean it and shit, right? But so I'm thinking like they probably just needed something else to demonize, right? Have something to throw people in jail for. Because when did jail start using criminals for like labor work? I mean, they were always have, right? In the U.S. 1817. Oh, so it's been a thing for a long ass time. Began with the construction of prison in New York State. They were forced to build their own prison. That's wild. Oh, they did a pretty good job. Now go build our roads. Go clean our roads now. Go make us our license plates. They were sold and used to support prisons. Prisoners were contracted to private companies, which paid the prison, not the prisoner, for their labor. The practice of convent leasing, that's insane, which involved leasing prisoners to private individuals and corporations, became widespread in the South after the Civil War. The system was rooted in the criminalization of formerly enslaved people and resulted in dangerous conditions, abuse, and death for many prisoners. The use of inmate labor has been a controversial practice in the United States, with both supporters and critics arguing over the impact of rehabilitation. Crime, of course, crime. How you get the most crime is with substances, people using substances, illegal substances, right? So I feel like making marijuana illegal was just their way of like, because it was alcohol. They were like sending people to prison and shit for alcohol. So when that ended, like the prisons, the the big corporate prisons, they were like, we lost all our fucking men, all our slaves because of prohibition ending. Because I bet you a lot of people were getting arrested, right, for moonshining and all that stuff, illegal distilleries and all that. And I'm just thinking like they just needed something to demonize people and just throw them in prison for. They need employees. Ooh, we went on a crazy tangent right now. Quartz crystals for radio communication. It's an old ass movie. It's from literally 1943. Holy shit.
One of the most beautiful and useful of minerals is rock crystal or quartz. Quartz is brilliant and clear in its pure form, but it takes on colors and tints when it contains traces of impurities. Quartz grows in many forms and makes up a very large part of the crust of the earth. It is also known under other names such as amethyst, agate, and rose quartz.
I had no clue. I thought those were different things. Amethyst, especially. He said the Earth's crust is made mostly like it has a bunch of quartz. Is that what protects us from the core? Because I heard it's very good at insulating or containing energy, that kind of energy and shit. I don't know. Because the core is magnetic, right? You can get into all that kind of stuff with the core of the Earth and all that shit. So I wonder if it helps regulate the magnetic field of Earth or something like that.
Once used principally for decoration, it is today more than a thing of beauty. When cut into tiny pieces, it controls the frequency of radio transmission and reception. Crystal
It controls the frequency. So it meaning like it has like ability to like influence it, direct it into a certain way. I feel like the early stages of wiring was probably used with crystals, crystal rods, and all that stuff, right? That was probably like the most earliest form of wiring they had. And we just took it as, oh, it's just being part of the building, you know? Oh, it's just being part of the architecture. Beautiful little quartzite, little round quartzite dots in the wall. For all you know, they could be giant rods running through those. Does that make sense?
wafers, precisely cut from the natural mineral, set the radio channels for the armed forces, much as push buttons select the stations on home sets.
This is what I'm talking about. The luminescent. What's that one thing called? Wire? Is it this shit? It is this, right? Fairy micro light strands. Wait. No. This ain't it. I'm thinking of this. Hold up. Hold up. Hey. Um, it's what they use for cars for the stars. This shit. No, what are they? What is it called? HD Starry Sky Protection. What? No. The projection. Create magic weapon. These lights come in various styles, including star projector lights and LED ceiling lights. No, there's this one guy. He was using this one type of fucking wiring. What's the wire called? What's the this 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 stuff? What's it called? Motherfucker, what's it called? Fiber optics. Bruh. Fiber optic cables. Without without plastic. Without rubber. Cladding. It's clear though. This transparent invisible fiber optic drop cable. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like quartz could have been used like that. Of course, it's solid, right? They can't really bend it and everything. But that's just what it reminds me of. Fiber optic cables. That's what it just reminds me of.
They do it more simply and with greater accuracy. In war, they provide quick and certain means of communication between fighting units. While experimenting with piezoelectric crystals during World War I and seeking a method of locating submarines, Professor Cady recognized in quartz the key to the hair-splitting accuracy which crystal controls provide for radio today. Piezoelectricity, a property of quartz and of certain other crystals, was discovered by the
Wait.
Curie brothers. Property of quartz for radio today. Piezoelectricity, a property of quartz.
Piezoelectricity. Piezoelectricity is the ability of certain metals to generate an electric charge in response to amplified mechanical stress. Mechanical stress? This effect is reversible, meaning that materials exhibiting can also undergo mechanical deformation when an electric field is applied. The internal magnetic mechanism in piezoelectric crystals, the internal arrangement of atoms is asymmetrical, asymmetrical, allowing for the asymmetrical means exactly the same, right? Fuck, I already forgot. Asymmetrical. Having parts that fail to correspond to the other in shape. Oh, uneven. Symmetry. Yeah, I'm a dumbass. I forgot about that. Allowing for generation of electrical tide pools when pressure is applied, which aligns to produce an electrical field. So it sounds like it's becoming unstable when that happens. Both natural and synthetic materials in quartz and certain ceramics. Using sensors and transducers, enabling technologies such as microphones, speakers, and pressure sensors. Microphones, speakers, and pressure sensors. Including production and detection of sound. So sensitive to sound. Mechanical? What the fuck's mechanical stress? It's defined as an internal resistance exhibited by a material when an external force is applied to it. It is qualified as a force per unit and is denoted by this. So that's how sensitive quartzite is. Like your voice, the noise is like strong enough to shake it up and shit, right? To create pressure and activate the energy within it. Including production and detection of sound, generation of high voltage electricity, and the clock generator and electric devices. I know the crystal skulls from South America. There's been supposed, I know it's been debunked or like criticized a lot that they're not real. They're just on fakes and all that stuff. But they're saying that like this one guy who had one, a legit one supposedly, he said he would hear voices coming from it. He would get like visions. Beings would be talking to him through the crystal. It could be memory. It could just be trapped memories, recordings the crystal captured, you know? And one day you accidentally bump into the crystal, you hit it, or you make a certain noise that just triggers it and replays the energy it contained, the sound, whatever. Interesting.
and of certain other crystals was discovered by the Curie brothers of France more than a half a
France.
century ago. The problem of getting radio plates out of the rock can be understood
Look up the crystal skulls after.
by considering this wooden model. We desire a little square plate cut at just the right angles of tilt and of turn with reference to the natural boundaries of the perfect crystal. The crystallographer speaks of axes which are perpendicular and parallel to some of these faces. We have to saw through the quartz at angles which are exactly right to have the finished plate behave properly in the radio set.
And I'm assuming that's the formation, right? The layers, and all that shit. So you have to cut it a certain way. Because I'm assuming he's saying if you break it or you cut into it, it just doesn't work there.
The plate whose boundaries are traced in pencil on this wooden model is known as a GT cut plate because of its particular orientation in the mother rock. Holding angles of cut to extremely close tolerances is one of the cardinal principles of good crystal plate manufacture. Precise orientation seems simple when the quartz has its natural faces. Fortunately, even in rough faceless quartz, the layer structure of the atoms is still there as a guide. This structure can be picked up with X-rays. In the receiving room of the factory, the cases of rough quartz are opened and a preliminary sorting and inspection of each piece takes place. Practically all quartz used in the manufacture of radio crystals comes from Brazil. Its value to the nation is so great that each bears a label of its importance.
Crazy how Brazil's dirt fucking poor now. I don't know how it was back then, but it's not known as the best place.
The quartz is roughly sorted according to size, shape, presence or absence of natural faces, and quality. We do not find many...
The South Americas, the natives that used to live there. I bet you anything. Never mind. Weird.
Ideally shaped quartz crystals in the shipments. Crystals that show more than a few of their original faces are uncommon.
I'm just realizing places with minerals like that, super, super sought after, are some of the most poorest places. Africa. They bleed the shit out of Africa for all that it has. It's sad. That shit's crazy. We look at South America, a lot of poor countries in the South Americas. Some of the places with the most mineral. We look at the U.S. now because the U.S. is supposedly has a lot of these kind of deposits. And we look at the state of the U.S. now. The state of the U.S. is becoming horrible. It's going downhill. Soon enough, I wouldn't be surprised if other countries begin to bleed us. I mean, it's already happening. They're bleeding us with money and shit. But as far as resources, I think our oil, didn't Biden sell most of our oil reserves to I forgot who, which is wild to think about. We look at China buying a bunch of real estate in our country. That's going on the land, you know? What kind of stuff came out of India? I wonder if that has anything to do with resources. Because it's like a very poor country as well. But you look at Europe, nobody bleeds them. They're the ones bleeding every other country around them because Europe is so fucking skimpy and small. You know, they don't have much resources, or they can't really collect out their resources because it's like it's too small. Their countries. You're just gonna end up getting rid of a bunch of villages, towns, and all that other stuff. India, iron ore, coal, third largest producer of iron ore. Bauxite, what is that? Significant reserves, natural gas, major producer of diamonds, second highest producer was arable land, rising producer in oil, world's leader of mica, and it's one of the poorest countries. Like it's very poor over there. Can't say that for everywhere in the country, but I'm just saying the majority of people there are pretty poor. It's considered a third world. Yet they have a lot of resources, but for some reason, that money doesn't go for towards. When did India gain dependence from Britain? Wasn't it like only recently? August 15th, 1947. That's pretty fucking recent, if you ask me. Because I thought the British Empire ended like in the 1800s, right? After they fucked with us and everything. Nah, they were going pretty strong, pretty heavy still. Marking the end of British rule and the establishment of a free nation. This day is celebrated annually August 15th. Did they celebrate that already? Oh, they're going to soon. I love history, bro. History repeats itself. Shit is wild.
With most pieces, these faces have been broken off in mining. Others have been rounded and smoothed by rolling on the bottoms of streams. A few are fairly symmetrical, with faces clearly formed. Some
I just thought of the Chile miners too. A lot of mining in the Americas. Silver mining, especially silver too. In like Mexico, Central America, a lot of silver mining. A lot of slaves used for silver mining. African, Asian slaves. That's why you get like I don't want to say Chicano, but like you know what I mean? Like Mexicans are just a whole petri dish of just genes. Insane.
Sometimes quartz has a reddish appearance on the surface, and occasionally it is a smoky color throughout. But color is of little importance in making radio plates.
In the US, they're saying we have a lot of materials for deposits for what they use in our phones and stuff. They say we have a lot of that in our country. We have a lot of oil in our country. We have a lot of forest wood. I know wood's not like, but like wood is pretty important in society. Got a lot of wood. What else we got? We got a bunch of mountains. Who knows what kind of minerals are up in those mountains? Natural water, fresh water. Let me look it up because fresh water is very rare. Where is the most fresh water found? Brazil? Whoa, I didn't even know that. Oh, the Amazon and all that other shit, right? Freshwater resources. Totaling approximately. It's not drinkable though, right? Drinkable. North America Great Lakes. Yup, I knew it. We have some of the biggest freshwater lakes. Drinkable. The most drinkable fresh water on Earth is primarily found in North America Great Lakes, which contain about 21% of the world's fresh water by volume. Other significant sources include African Great Lakes, the where's that from? Balky? In Russia, Baikal, I don't know, and Arctic and Greenland ice sheets. Oh yeah. Which store more of the planet's fresh water. However, only a small fraction of this fresh water is accessible for human consumption, as most of it is frozen or located too deep underground to be easily extracted. Thinking of water reservoirs now. Is that the right word? No. What's the underground? Is present Earth surfaces? What are those called? They're stored in aquifers. Aquifers. Where are the most uh it's probably found all over the world. I don't think there's an area with this the most, you know. It's kind of hard to collect that data. What am I talking about? In the world. The Middle East? What the fuck? Botswana, Brazil, China, Colombia, Arabian aquifer system. Oh, but those are natural. Where are the most natural aquifers in the world? The most suitable geological formation? Oh, it doesn't really say. But no shit, it's gonna be hard to figure that out.
After preliminary sorting, there is a thorough inspection for cracks, optical twinning, inclusions, and other internal imperfections. This is done in an immersion tank filled with a special type of mineral oil.
Mineral oil.
The inspector submerges each quartz crystal and rotates it in a strong beam of light. Under oil, the surfaces of the quartz vanish, letting the interior imperfections come to light for the inspector to observe. From the character of these imperfections, he judges the usefulness of each piece. After the quartz has been examined under oil in polarized light, it is marked according to its quality.
Polarized. Polarized light is a light in which the electric field. lame terms. Is that the right way you say it? Electrical field oscillating in a specific direction, which is perpendicular to the direction of light's travel, are not vibrating in all directions, but rather in one plane. So it's not like whoosh, but it's like specifically directed. Yeah. Okay. Polarized light. On that little glass piece he was using. And then it hits the crystal, making it. Okay. Stabilizing light, pretty much.
The grades and sizes, after being classified, are placed in storage trays, and these, quickly identified by color or other means, are stacked ready for manufacturing.
Probably ended a little bit right now, but
From the storage trays,
interesting.
the racks are carried to the orienting and sawing departments, where the manufacturing process begins. Pieces for the day's production are selected, and the method of cutting, which will produce the greatest number of crystal oscillators, is decided upon. The quartz is again submerged in oil so that the optic axis may be located and marked. The optic axis is found by locating certain bands of color which are formed when the quartz is examined in polarized light. Also, in polarized light, certain types of imperfections in quartz are revealed by other patterns in color. A striking example of this latter is seen in this flat plate. The triangular patterns, which keep their forms though the colors change with the change of the lighting, indicate twinning of the quartz. Twinning is an imperfection which must be discovered and twinned regions avoided in the finished plates. By means of such color effects, the operator has now decided where the optic axis lies and is marking a guideline on the surface. For ease in guiding the sawing operations to come, he paints a series of dots along the axis to make the direction stand out. The rough quartz is next cut by the saw into small pieces. The saw is a rotating disc of copper or steel, charged with diamond powder along the rim.
I wonder if that dude's still alive.
As the revolving blade starts into the stone, a thin stream of cooling liquid is directed across it. Special saws are among the many developments which have been made during the war to facilitate the manufacture of quartz plates in large quantities.
Just for quartz plates. And now they're widely used for everything now. Cutting stone and all
The
that shit.
quartz is harder than steel, but the diamond-edged blades quickly go through the large pieces. For successful cutting without undue waste of material, the saw blades must be as thin as possible and quite free from vibration. A stone of this size is cut into several slabs, and for convenience in handling, each of these slabs will in turn be sliced into smaller pieces.
He seems to be enjoying his job.
Precisely and quickly, the
Probably
blade
got
of
some
the
nice
saw cuts
house,
through the quartz.
a wife,
Note here how its shadow appears to
couple
mark the way.
kids, a dog, nice cars. Could just because he's on camera, who knows?
Sawing so far seen has been of the rougher sort along the approximate axis of the mother quartz. The final slicing of this bar into wafers is an operation of more precision.
Wafers.
And in order to keep record of the orientation of the bar in relation to the original mother quartz, a reference direction is marked on the surface. As a first step, we need to identify the electrically negative and positive faces of the quartz bar.
Negative and
This
positive.
is done by squeezing it gently under a lever arm and measuring the electrical charge on a vacuum tube voltmeter. The second step in lining up the quartz for cutting is made in a conoscope.
Alright, is that a female? You got females working too, that's what's up. Is it a girl? I don't know what.
Direction marks are again made on the bar, and it is placed in an electric oven to be heated in preparation for mounting. The warmed quartz is taken from the oven, coated with shellac and hot
Shellac.
cementing compound, and its piezoelectrically negative side mounted down against the faceplate of the jig.
Negative side.
For accurate determination of the angle for cutting the wafers, it is necessary to provide for both easy adjustment and firm clamping of the quartz. It is mounted on a jig, such as the one shown, where the quartz may be oriented
Oh, the plus
in
sign
any
for
direction.
positive, negative. That's cool.
It is to be finally locked in just the right position for the saw cut. The quartz, firmly bolted on the adjustable jig, is again submerged in the oil of the conoscope. The quartz is to be aligned in relation to the internal structure of the quartz rather than to the surfaces of the rough bar. With this flat bar, the optic axis shows itself as the center of a very perfect visible to the camera, which the crystal is mounted. Is wafers are
I know this is just the process of making it, but like I kind of want to hear him explain like reasons, stuff like that, like
agitate the solution during
purposes,
etching.
properties. Kind of is going into that, but it's like it's a lot of steps.
Grooved on the surface. Are removed, are ground to the hand finish.
This is just how it's made. This isn't nothing
Operators
about.
who make the final individual frequency is still found to be low. The intense vibration, a revolutionary new technique has been developed in slightly higher frequencies. When the crystals are calibrated, it is found that a small proportion have, for one reason or another, slightly higher frequencies than when the ellipse turns as slowly as shown here. The crystals that pass the oscilloscope test have the covers of their holders tightly screwed down. The crystals are now taken to a calibration room where an exact measurement of frequency is made by direct comparison with the standard frequency using a cathode ray oscilloscope. The rotation of an ellipse in the oscilloscope will indicate the frequency down to 1/1000th of 1%.
That's a lot to take in. Fucking interesting as hell. I don't know if I should end it here. I really like this a lot. This was really cool. Think I might end it here. Got some stuff to do. Later.